Hey guys, today I just want to answer an interesting comment I got here from my friend Zeraha. Zeraha, uh, what would be your thoughts on how to proceed with one's collection, which already has a couple of modern luxury watches? Would it be better to search for a truly collectible vintage piece with a history? Example, early and rare Omega Constellation, Moonwatch, some World War II military watches, or to go for a higher end modern piece like JLC, Vacheron, Lange Sohne. Budget wise, it would not be possible to do both approaches. I like vintage watches. I like vintage watches a lot. However, what I would recommend as for you, if you have already two modern pieces and you're pretty fresh, I would go for GLC, Vacheron, Lange Sohne, and something more higher end, something more sophisticated, and something modern. I like vintage watches. I truly do. However, modern watches are much better. So, regarding this is the short answer. I would go modern. You would be so much happier, and especially someone who is not used to vintage watches. There's so many pitfalls with vintage watches, reed dials, Franken watches, Franken parts, non-original parts, and everything that's hot, that's really valuable, has been messed upon, has been touched, and except for those really rare museum examples, and those are really expensive. So that's just one of the downfalls on vintage watches. Example, last year my friend bought a vintage Patek from the 50s, and he had a big time sourcing part for that watch. And at the end of the day, he just got rid of it. He traded it for something modern vintage. It was a gorgeous watch, but there are many pitfalls when it comes to vintage watches. And if I was you, I would definitely go for something more modern. I want to see, there are many of my friends who are into watches. I turn them into more, I take credit for that, but I turn them into a more serious collector. For example, there's this guy who had entry level Longines, RS, Maurice Lacroix, really nice watches. And I talked him into getting rid of all of them. It was really hard for him to get rid of some of the nice Maurice Lacroix and Longines watches. He really fought hard, but after he got rid of all of them, he got himself a Moonwatch, he got himself a O Primero, and he was over the moon. Now he sees those Longines watches like a toys, like something else. And they are not, but I want to see you do better. And like all my friends in real life, I consider you guys to be my friends as well. And I want to see you do better. I want to see you have badass collections. And you want to wear the best watch you can afford comfortably. So you want to wear the best watch you can have. And granted, you can wear one or two watches today at the same time, and that's it. So if you can only wear one watch, it better be really good watch. You want to wear the nicest watch you can have. And as for the vintage watches, I wouldn't go so far to specifically hunt and search and look for vintage watches, because when it comes to vintage watches, those things you cannot find. Everything's been found in the past 20 years. The bargains in vintage market have gone. And there are some really serious collectors of vintage watches who have taken everything. And if you want to buy from them, it's gonna be very pricey. And what I would do, I would keep my eye on the market. You never know. Sometimes old vintage military Zenith pilot's watch pops up, and vintage Hoyer, vintage something. And when it pops up, if it's the right price is right, as the condition is right, because when it comes to watches, like in most things, condition is everything. And the vintage watches are a minefield. We all know the story about John Mayer and his vintage Red Submariners with aftermarket parts, where he sued the dealer, and lots of headache with vintage, and almost none of the headache with the modern GLC, Vacheron, Lange Sohne, especially if you buy pre-owned from reputable dealers, in great condition. You won't lose much money, because when you buy new, there's certain brands that, like GLC for example, they get initial loss is pretty hefty, but after that they're pretty steady. So what I would do if I was you, I already have 2 modern watches, just go and buy yourself GLC or Vacheron, whatever you can get, and be happy. And if you like vintage watches, keep an eye on the market. And if you keep your eye on the market for long enough, there's always something out there that pops up. For example, I bought a vintage Universal Genève. I never really was looking for it. I was never hunting it, but it just appeared. I knew what it was. I knew I wanted it, and I got it. So when it comes to vintage, just hunt and focus on modern watches. And even though I love vintage watches, modern watches are better, if you ask me.